not be there, but I don't know, more than half of us were there last year, I think.
I think I'll be there. I thought I replied. Maybe I didn't.
Okay.
Sorry, but
Great.
I should be able to make it.
All right.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I also thought I'd replied that I would also make it.
Great. All right. Thank you.
And Deb,
Is there-
yeah, if you could put me down too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anything else from Deb? Nothing?
That's it.
Next item is Mayor Munson. Anybody here from the mayor's office to speak? Seeing none. Next item is Audit Committee, no report. Fiscal Committee,
No report.
Land Use Committee.
Land use, we're going to be having a meeting right after this informational, and we're going to be talking about a proposed ordinance dealing with campgrounds.
Councilor Jamison, you had a question?
Just a item maybe for fiscal committee, if I could. Is there a chance, I think you guys are already planning to do it. I don't know what the schedule is for next Monday for you have a meeting next Monday? You guys are
Yes.
first Monday?
Yes.
We don't have anything on the schedule currently, but if there's something that needs to be addressed, we certainly will.
Maybe it's too late, or it doesn't have to be next Monday either, but just sometime. I know I think you guys had already planned to do it, kind of a wrap-up of the budget process, how things went. Is there anything we can do better, differently? I just would hate to see you and some of the other guys who are going to be off the council with all your years of hindsight go away. Let's take advantage of that while you guys are still around. And
Okay, yeah, it's a good idea. We can talk about that and see if there's a need to do it this month or if we do it in the near future. But we do need to do it before the end of the year, probably.
I would imagine we'd bring the Director of Finance and Assistant Director into that.
That would be a great idea.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Councilor Knudsen?
I think Councilor Jamison's suggestion is a good one because I think in government we're always just juggling so many different topics, and while some of these ideas are fresh in our minds, it's good to just review and see if there's any way we can improve the current process at any level. So I think that's a good suggestion.
Councilor Staggers, were you done then with Land Use?
Yes.
Okay. Public Service Committee?
No report.
City Council open discussion. Councilor Knudsen?
I know that all of us know about the Second Citizen Survey, but I just still think that's a really good program, and I'm just kind of a heads up for the listening public that yet this week there will be 3,000 citizens that will receive a postcard from us, from the City of Sioux Falls, and just telling them that they have been chosen to participate in this survey. And again, last year was the first year that we undertook this project. I think this, again, is very helpful for future city councilors and for future mayors as far as budgeting processes are concerned, as far as what do the citizens want from their local government. So again, 3,000 postcards will go out yet this week, and so you should be watching for those, and then the surveys will go out, I think it's the week of October 5th. And then I would just like to tell citizens that if in fact they aren't fortunate enough to be chosen this year to be surveyed on the written survey, that they still are, their input is still treasured, and they can go online at I think it's the end of next week to siouxfalls.org, our regular website, and take the identical survey, and it's just that those answers will be considered very seriously by the city staff and the city councilors, but they will not, their answers will not be included as far as the statistical analysis of the 3,000 people at the national level. But anyway, so just a PSA on National Citizen Survey.
Okay.
Yes. I guess one issue I'd like to bring up this afternoon starts back in August. Around August 19th, I think everybody on the City Council received an email from Pat. And that was in regard to his decision at that time to run for mayor. Previously, at the time when we voted about a month early for Pat to become mayor, he said that if he would make a decision like that, then at that time, then we should he would respect the wishes of the City Council if a majority of people wanted a new chair or whatever. Well, I did respond to that email, and I think one other person responded to the email, but I don't recall that anybody else did. Well, now this issue has kind of come to the forefront again in regard to public service announcements regarding the survey that the citizens are going to be asked to fill out. And the PSA that's going to be airing on cable TV has Pat giving the announcement about the PSAs. And of course, then the question arises about having our city chair, who is also running for mayor, giving the PSAs on cable TV. So I guess we never kind of really resolved the issue back in mid-August, and now we're have this before us. I was just wondering what my colleagues on the city council felt about this.
Councilor Knudsen?
Well, I guess I've probably been speaking already too much today, but I actually have very strong feelings on this topic as well as most, and I am continue to believe that it's very appropriate for the elected chairperson of the city council to speak for the city council until that person is no longer chair. So I just can't imagine that there'd be a better person to participate in the PSA for the second national or citizen survey. I'm just, again, just can't underline that actually feeling enough. And then as far as continuing as chairman of the city council, I have full confidence in the current chair and realize that about half the city council, or almost half, is running for mayor, and I'm still thinking about running for governor of Alaska, as I told you the last time. But anyway, our written policy on this makes no provision at all. It does not ask for the current chair to resign if he or she is running for mayor or, legislature or governor or whatever. And so I really think this is a moot point, and I'm actually very sorry to even have it brought forth again. And again, I just do not expect any city councilor up here to abuse their elected position with us.
If I might, too, Councilor Staggers, as you know, I taped that PSA at the request of the mayor's office. Sure. And at the time, I also visited with a number of councilors and did not have any negative responses to doing so. But again, as I've always said, I'll follow the wishes of the council, the majority of the council, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I guess I didn't find out that you had contacted some council members about the PSA. But it also goes back to mid-August, when the email was sent out from you regarding, whether it's appropriate for you to continue as the chair of the city council. And we never really resolved that, to the best of my knowledge.
Councilor Knudsen?
I guess I thought that we resolved it just because it hadn't been the topic hadn't been brought up again. But again, I think that, going forward, if this city council or any other city council wants to prevent a chairperson or a vice chair or a committee chair or whatever to no longer serve in leadership at the council level because she or he has decided to run for office, we should and can, we have full authority to propose that policy and pass it if there's enough support for it. But again, I would just like to emphasize that we have a policy as far as the selection of our chair and our vice chair and our committee chairs, and that is not a factor. And I continue to believe that this is actually, I'm going to go so far as to say much ado about nothing, because I think there are very few citizens in Sioux Falls that have a clue who the chair is or the vice chair or the committee chairs, and I don't think that it is enough of an advantage to anyone to matter to anyone.
Once again, I would just say maybe we ought to discuss the August email about what Pat brought up, because we haven't done anything.
Any other comments on the subject? Any other discussion on any other items? Councilor Bennigan?
Excuse me, I have and I forgot the thank you card at home, unfortunately. I should frame it because you don't get many of those as a city council member. But I got a very nice response from the neighbors that live around the bridge that we built over the railroad tracks close to the water tower on 57th Street that diverted some of the traffic away from their homes over the top of the railroad bridge to be able to use the east-west 57th Street as a crosstown arterial street. And they were all very, very pleased with the changes that were made. Some that had some extremely strong concerns about even doing it in the first place are very happy with how quiet that has created, the landscaping has created their neighborhood to be, and they wanted to relate to everybody, including the staff who is involved, which is primarily planning and public works, how appreciative of them and the kinds of customer service they experienced in that whole process.
Well, that's encouraging to hear. Maybe Public Works would like to get a copy of that.
I think I should copy that and send it to everybody.
Councilor Staggers?
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to leave when I took a very important phone call. But in regard to the issue, once again, I would wish that maybe we would just simply talk about it at the next informational when all the council members are here, and then just make a final decision as to what should happen. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Councilor Knudsen?
And, I'm fine with discussing any topic for as long as the group wants to discuss it, but I would like to just say, as far as what I noticed in the real world in South Dakota at least, is that when we have legislators who are from both parties who are planning to run for governor or whatever they're planning to run for, they continue to speak for the South Dakota Senate, and I mean, this just, I'm sorry, but I really do continue to believe that pursuing this is nonsense.
Well, I guess I totally disagree with that characterization as being nonsense, because all I'm asking for is a resolution of the email sent out by the council chair. That's all. And if we could do that next meeting, however it goes, doesn't make any difference. We'll have that taken care of.
Councilor
And I
Knudsen?
promise my last comment on this. And staff, would you please just provide us once again with a copy of our policy that exists right now, and see if the city council in the future wants to revise that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other open discussion items? If not,
One other that doesn't deal with this at all, but in talking to different people, there have been some feelings expressed about the property tax increase that was voted by the city council for next year. And there was one person that I talked to, was a single mother of 3 children. And, sometimes we don't hear these stories, but she's having a very difficult time trying to make it. She has 3 jobs, trying to take care of her children, and these constant property tax increases. So, for what it's worth, in the future, I would hope that maybe we give more attention to these kind of stories from real people in the city.
Any other comments? Any other items for open discussion? Seeing none, we will move on to our presentation, which is the monthly financial update by Assistant Director Tom Huber.
Good afternoon. Tom Huber with the Finance Office. Just start by opening again. If there's any specific questions, let me know about the report. We'd be happy to answer any of those questions. Last time, we spent a little time talking about the general fund. Not much has changed since we discussed the report last time, so with that, I was just going to spend a little time on the sales and use tax fund that starts on page 2. and talk a little bit about the design of the report and how it all works together with some of the subsidiary project reports that follow. If you look at page 2, you'll see that it's broken down into two main sections. One is the unreserved fund balance and cash status. The other is the budget status. You'll notice on the unreserved fund balance, the focus really is on the unobligated fund balance. Every year we obligate generally the entire amount. Sometimes there's a carrying balance that comes over from year to year, but given that there's no specific reserve set up for the capital project fund, it's one of those, it's capital related, so when the money doesn't come in, you stop spending on capital projects, and you've seen that with the holdbacks we've established. And so there's no specific reserve. Instead, we're focusing really on, is there any unobligated balance that's available for future projects down the line. On the right side, on the top right, you'll notice there's a cash balance report that just kind of shows the fund commitments. You'll notice that it's broken down. If you look at the balance of $29.2 million, you'll see it broken down into designated cash, which is really the money we're setting aside to make next year's debt service payment that has to go to trust in November. So we're designating it off so we know where we're at, and we don't run into the position where we're surprised in November when we put the money over to trust. We have restricted cash, which probably from donations and other areas, that is restricted by outside parties. And then we have the cash and trust, which is to make the 2009 debt service payment, as well as has the reserves in it that's established for each of the bonds. The bottom, you have a budget status report, both the sources of revenue, and it's important to note this is a sales and use tax fund, but the sales and use tax is not the only source. You also have federal and state grants for some of these projects that run through here, special assessments, some private contributions that come in, whether it be for the zoo or junior football or those donations that are coming in, and then the reserve part of the bond proceeds. On the bottom, on the expenditures part, you notice one thing different from this, from the normally what you see in the general fund and some of the other reports, and you'll notice encumbrances. That's because of the long-term nature of these projects that are being built with capital dollars, that the money is committed, and we track when that money is committed because it will be paid out, and it may not be paid out in just 1 year. The project may go on for more than 1 year. To tie this report then into a few other pages that you have, starting on page 8, you take the general sales tax fund report, and it's broken down. You've got the capital improvements program part of the report, which gives you a funded department summary. So it just summarizes at a very high level on a departmental basis. Following that then, on 9 through 12, you'll see all the specific projects listed. Those are the projects out of the program, whether they've carried forward or carried over, or are the new projects for 2009, all listed out for all the various different funds, not just the sales and use tax fund at that point, but you can see the component of that sales and use tax fund related. And then you'll also notice that here's where we show, at the end of page 12, the projects that are on holdback due to the current economic environment. Following that then, there's another component of the sales and use tax fund capital program, and that's the other capital equipment part. These are equipment purchases generally for large equipment over $7,500, and broken down by the various types of equipment. And again, at the end of that, you'll notice those equipment purchases that are on hold. So that's kind of a breakdown of the supporting documentation, what all rolls up into that sales and use tax fund, and the fact that it does have a little different focus than in the general fund, where we're really looking at our reserve position, looking at operating long-term. This is a non-operating fund that looks at current capital programs.
Tom, I've got a question for you. Today's the 28th. I assume we've gotten our September sales tax receipts in?
We've gotten notice. We have not gotten the actual receipt yet, and I haven't seen all the fine breakdown of that yet. So we just received notice today. I think one came across on Friday and one today that the receipt would be coming in. And we'll get that out to you as soon as we get it finalized. Their staff is breaking it down right now, and we don't have the actual receipt of the check yet.
Okay.
So
All right.
should be in shortly, though. The
But
28th is when we were expecting to get at least notice that it was on its way. So
Okay. But you'll email that to us?
that'll be emailed as soon as we've gotten it all broken down.
Thank you. Any other questions for Tom? Jameson?
Tom, we, when we approved the budget, appropriated the budget, we passed an amendment for the updated kind of a summary on a quarterly basis.
Contingency plan, yes.
Is there one that we could get sooner than later, just on just some of the things that are going on in the administration about what they're doing in-house to handle the situation? Is there something we could get sooner than waiting until April or May, I guess?
We certainly can do it along with the monthly reports that we give. We kind of went through that the last time on the general fund, and we can keep updating those. Part of that is, you see the projects like in the capital fund that are on holdback. That's a big part of the contingency planning to make sure that we don't run the cash flow for that fund. And also, we can continue giving updates on the general fund as to where we're at and kind of the planning that has been done. We still have the main contingency plan, the normal savings that we anticipate, along with the department holds in place. And we'll be continuing to update that, and can certainly pass that information along in our monthly reports as we go. So, yes, that.
Councilor Staggers?
Yes, Tom, I was just curious, looking at the Railroad Relocation Fund,
Sure.
the amount of money that the city appropriated for that, is that reflected in those numbers there or not?
Well, you'll see the amount that is, let me get to the right. You'll see the amount that is, it's listed as on a reimbursement basis. That'll either be federal reimbursed, or else that will be reimbursed from the sales tax fund that you just passed that appropriation for. So the expenditure would actually show in there, yes, but the reimbursement has not yet been made, I don't believe, from the sales tax fund into this fund.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking on page 4, is that?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep.
it's not in there yet.
So that negative amount that you see there, this is a project, and a lot of the federal funding projects are on a reimbursement basis. So we wait to get reimbursed, so it runs negative, we have to cash flow it. It runs negative, we bring the reimbursement in, and in this case, some of that amount may be reimbursed by the sales tax fund, by that appropriation that you approved, so that will be coming in as well. But it would all be reflected already, the expenditures that have been made have been reflected in there, that have been made to date anyway, so.
Any other questions for Tom? Okay. Thank you very much. Any other topics or open discussion before we adjourn? There is a, Councilor Jameson.
Just last week, talking to some other counselors, some of us were looking at if Deborah and staff could help us with the administration to schedule an update on the arena contract and the Pettigrew Heights development construction project. I know it's probably delayed by some people passing paper, but and then as well as the flood bond issuance thereof. If you could help us kind of get those through with an informational update is all. If I missed anything, let me know, but those were just some of the things I heard.
Okay, there's no other items to discuss. We'll adjourn here shortly, but I'll just, again, we have a Land Use Committee meeting immediately following this in the outer room. All are welcome. Nothing else. We are adjourned.